Hello, and welcome back to the podcast where you are invited for lighthearted conversations about things that matter as you seek to live your most meaningful, beautiful, and joyful life. I'm your host, Dr. Edie Wadsworth, and I hope you enjoy your stay here at the House of Joy. Okay, welcome back to the podcast. You guys, I wish you could see the outtakes because
we should have just been recording.
We should have. I was just laughing so hard I was crying. I guess that's a good thing, though. But we are so happy to be here. Today we are talking all about self-confidence, kind of like self-confidence through the ages. We're going to talk about it from Emmy's perspective as a 20-something, from my perspective as a 50-something. And I think this is a really important topic because self-confidence really affects your whole entire life, touches so many areas of your life, especially your relationships. And I think it's something that especially the younger generation does seem to be struggling with. And so,
yeah, I think that this is something I have definitely been struggling with more lately than maybe ever. And so I'm really excited about this conversation. Me and Mom dove into it a little bit this morning.
Yep.
And already I kind of learned
it already shifted.
It already shifted a few things for me, so I hope that it does the same for anyone listening. Because I know this day and age, it's just it can be really hard to not.
And it was funny because we love to start our episodes with a little confession, and our confession kind of has to do with self-confidence because about a month ago when Emmy was here with her girlfriends, they came to spend a weekend. Mm-hmm. Our dog Bandit, our little golden doodle, was in such rough shape.
Yeah, his hair. So he has really curly hair. And technically, I think you're supposed to brush it every day.
Yeah, well, that's never going to happen.
They tell you that, but obviously, you're not going to brush your dog's hair. Well, if you do, more power to you.
But long story short, we hadn't been doing that. And his had grown out so bad that when we took him to get him groomed, they wouldn't groom him. So I just took it upon myself to start doing it.
Let me give a little bit of a backstory to this because they had taken him to a groomer, and the groomer basically was like, we're not going to do it because this is a danger to him. If we try to cut him down far enough, they were saying all of these crazy things.
It was scare tactics. Yeah.
I don't know. If you're a groomer, to me, you know how to groom your dog. Isn't that your literal whole job to, take the hard ones?
So we were basically I don't know. I was just it can't be that hard. I mean, I do appreciate all the skills that people bring to all their various jobs, but I wasn't scared to do it. And
and that is one thing about Mom. She does have the confidence to carry her through, even when
we didn't know what we were doing.
She might not know what she's doing, but
I can watch some YouTube videos, y'all.
Oh yeah, and that you didn't. Actually.
We didn't do that. We did eventually. But we took it over. We did a really good job. It took forever. It took about 2 hours. So I kind of understand why they didn't want to do it.
She took Bandit while my friends were here. And Mom just goes missing. She had mentioned it. She was like, I might just do it myself. And we were all like, I don't know if you should do that. And then she went missing for an hour. And all of us
girls
were looking at each other. Where did Mom go?
I was in my bathroom giving Bandit the haircut of his life. Now, to be honest, it didn't look the greatest, but he looked so much better, and he was so cute.
We had to, seriously, with scissors, and I'm sure they're,
scissors and a comb.
Had to, It took 2 hours.
Yep.
And I stayed in there with Mom. I was once she started, I had
Emmy
to
was all
see
in
the
with
mission
me.
Through.
Yep. It was great.
And I honestly didn't look that bad. It was very, uneven. And it still is a little mangy.
Yeah.
I mean, it looks better as it grows out, but it was possible. It just took a long time.
And it was actually a really cute haircut. A lot of times, I think what happens is either they don't cut they don't cut him like a golden doodle. So I'm usually never really satisfied anyway. So I'm like, oh, this will be fun. I'll just try it. Yeah, he looks good.
Moral of the story is have the confidence to cut your own dog's hair. I'm just
It
kidding.
goes right into self-confidence, which we're going to talk about today. So if this is something that you have struggled with, we would love to hear from you. Anytime that we are doing an episode that you really resonate with or that you have questions about, just tag
Or you're
us.
like, go into more depth.
Yeah,
Like,
just tag us on Instagram. We love having conversations about this. Our House of Joy Instagram account, actually, Emme runs. And unlike me and mine, she actually keeps up with it and answers all the questions. And she's so sweet and cultivating really awesome relationships over there. So come over there, chat with Emme about, anything that you have to say about this topic. But we thought this would be a really good one because I feel like it just touches every part of your life. And I want to start with this as kind of my definition of it. I think I did look up like what's the official, definition of self-confidence. And I guess I agree with that to a certain degree, but I have my own way of looking at it, which has really served me. And I think that it is the belief in yourself, but not the belief in yourself that you can just do anything. The belief in yourself that you can handle your own thoughts, feelings, emotions, no matter what happens. That you have become good at being you. And that definition of it has really served me. I don't think self-confidence means that, you just can... that I'm confident that I can do anything. I don't feel that way. I am really confident that I can handle situations in my life with God's help and with the tools that I know to manage my mind and emotions. I feel really confident in that. And I think what I was looking up earlier are just like the studies that people have done with self-confidence that it really affects every part of your life, because if you do believe that, like, I can handle disappointment, I can handle rejection, I can handle when things don't work out. I think that you reach for a bigger life, you set bigger goals, you ask more of yourself, you're ready for challenges. I just think it sets you up for such a better experience of your own life. And when I look at the opposite of that, like not having self-confidence, not having self-esteem, the thing that I think is the hardest about that is that it often puts people in your life in a weird situation, because when you're always showing up not sure of yourself, then you're wanting that validation from somebody
people.
else, right?
Yeah.
And when you've done the inner work and taken care of yourself, and you know that your worth is in God, and you know that you're loved, and you know that you can handle your own emotions and your own, thoughts and feelings about your life, then you just show up like ready to be of service to someone else, interested in someone else. I really do think it's one of those things that then you can take the focus off of you, because you've like taken care of you.
Yeah.
And then you can show up like in all your full energy and excitement and curiosity for someone else's life. Whereas if you're really struggling with self-confidence and self-esteem, you give off this energy of, I need you to approve of me. I need you to validate me. I need you to give me the thing that I'm lacking. And that can just feel like an energy suck. It can feel like, oh, this person is really draining to be around. Mm-hmm. So I think this is something worth working on. Like, it really is something worth really getting good at, really investing some time thinking about. And when we were talking about it today, I feel like it was such a valuable conversation, because we were talking about it in relationship to like your significant other relationships.
Yeah. This one is a tough topic for me, because I would love to view myself, and I think I come off, and I think in a lot of ways I am very confident and secure in myself. But there are a lot of ways where I really struggle with that security and who I am all the time. And I think that stems from a lot of different things. I've been working on journaling. And one of the thoughts that I constantly am like working on, the thought I'm practicing is like, I'm committed. I am someone who sticks things through. And I think that even stems from like confidence. It's like, if you know that you're committed to something, then you're confident in your ability to, it just ties
And
into
by the
so
way,
many...
plug for our episode on journaling. We did a whole episode, I think it's 165 on journaling. You definitely should check that out. But I have noticed even since then, Em, that you've been really committed to doing journaling. And I think that's something that can really help with this.
Yeah, it does. And because you build confidence in yourself by doing the things that you say you're going to do.
Yes.
And I have found a lot of times in my life where, for a period, I'm like, oh, I'm going to do that. And then I don't follow through. And then you lose confidence in yourself.
Yeah.
But in terms of my relationship, I think it comes up a lot. And honestly, a lot recently. I was telling Mom, like, in past relationships, I feel like I was the one who was like
more confident, more
I don't know,
self-assured.
I just felt like I don't know how to describe it, but I felt like I was the more secure one.
Yeah.
Not all my relationships, but ones that were like adult relationships. And with Haddon, who is my now boyfriend, he is so secure in himself, like more than most people I know. Like,
he's amazing.
He's
by
amazing.
the way, we love you, Haddon.
Love Haddon, but I have found that that's kind of brought up parts of me that I'm like, oh, okay, I'm definitely not so secure in that area.
Yeah, and
I find myself lacking in self-confidence. I guess not in like outwardly, it's more like deeper.
Yes.
Confidence and security within myself.
And we were talking about this today because this is not something that I really have struggled with very often, but I do remember after Ellie was born, I went through a period where, oh my gosh, I was really insecure and I never had experienced it before. Yeah. I even had a brief period where I was kind of jealous. I had never really experienced jealousy in my whole life before. And it was really eye-opening. It made me compassionate for people who do experience that a lot. But it also made me realize that if you are in a place like that, there is really almost nothing that other person can do to satisfy that for you. And you have to get to a place in yourself where you realize, like, okay. And I realized it, thank goodness, when I was going through this with Dad, I realized, like, oh, this is about me. This is not anything he's doing or he's doing different. Like, this is a shift in me. And this is something that I really, have to work on, because there's no amount of things that he can do to reassure me if I, keep focusing on the insecurity. And I think that's what happens
with me and Haddon, is that I expect him to make me feel a certain way. Yeah. And when he doesn't do that, then I take that out on him. Yeah. As like he's doing wrong. He's doing the wrong thing or whatever. And this is not big things. It's like small little things.
But I was telling Emme, this is so good that she has this self-awareness, because then you realize, like, oh, and this is what relationships do. They bring up the work we need to do in ourselves. It's like the best curriculum, the actual best playground for your own personal growth, because it will bring up things that were already there that you need to deal with, that are probably showing up in other areas of your life. And I've just gotten to the point where I'm like, oh, good, I'm so glad that there's something in my life that can be a mirror to reflect to me the work that I need to do. And again, when you think of being self-confident, it's basically, I think, especially as a Christian, that it's agreeing with God about who you are. You're made in his image. He loves you.
You are secure.
You're secure. You're worthy. And he's given you these skills of mindset and emotional tools where you can regulate yourself. Yeah, you don't need other people to keep validating you. And
true. Yeah. I like when we talked about doing this on an episode, the first thing that came to my mind is just like when we were kids, and especially in our household, like you and Dad really made us feel and believe that we were so good and so like top tier at everything we did, which is a great thing. But I just believed it in myself. It's not even that the confidence stemmed from actually being the best.
Right.
Because you would always say, like, oh, she's just a natural born talent in dance. And I really believe that about myself. And I'm so glad that I did. Like, it's not like y'all were lying and, like, trying to convince me of something that wasn't true. You just really believed that I was.
You can do whatever you want.
And I can do it, and I will accomplish it. And I then believed it. And it wasn't until I was probably in middle school, high school, until, you know, obviously the world and just how you look at yourself changes.
Yeah.
But I think that's, like, my new goal is to, like, have such childlike faith in just my own beliefs, like my own things that I can do, that I truly believe that, like, those things about myself that I used to feel when I was a kid.
Yeah.
But it does tie into, like, other people are never going to make you feel like that.
Right.
No one else.
And we know that, like, I mean, I know, you know, you've gotten certified as a coach through our program. You know that, like, your emotions, the way you feel about anything is not determined by other people. It's determined by your own thoughts.
I'm not a kid anymore.
Yeah.
And so I'm not just going to believe what someone, you know, like when you're a kid.
Yeah.
Obviously, like, you believe what someone tells you.
Yeah.
I'm an adult. Like, I have the mind where you can tell me something, but until I fully believe it for myself, I'm not going to reap the benefits of believing that.
And again, it's not the belief that, oh, I'm just good at everything, I can do anything. No, it's cultivating a relationship with yourself where you really trust yourself in failure. You trust yourself in rejection. You trust yourself in challenges, in obstacles. Like, you trust that you won't.
That is the thing that I'm learning about confidence, is it is just a, like, love of being with yourself. Like, you love yourself so much that you can journal, that you can think about your thoughts, that you can regulate yourself. You love yourself so much, you take care of yourself.
Yeah, and I know people, especially Christians, have trouble with that whole kind of love yourself. But I think about the scripture that says, you know, love others, you know, treat others like you would treat yourself, love others like you would yourself. And I think you do have to have a level of respect and value for yourself because God loves you and values you. And when you do that and you sort of accept his love and accept that, then I think it allows you to just then kind of forget about yourself and turn toward your neighbor, the person who needs you, the person who needs your attention, your love, your curiosity, your compassion. Because otherwise, if you don't do that work first, you show up needy to other people.
You have to first tend to yourself from the truth of the Lord and from what he's told you and from that you're made in the image of the Lord. But I think you do have to tend to that first.
Well, I was even looking up at the studies for this, Em, and they were saying that the people who have higher self-confidence have better relationships because they treat themselves better. They're not mean to themselves when they fail, when they get rejected, when they, you know, face challenges. And they're not mean to other people because they've learned how to be compassionate with themselves.
Well, I've heard this thing, like, the thing that you judge about other people is really the thing
that you judge
about yourself. And so if you are talking to yourself nice and kind and you really believe these things about yourself, you really will see the best in other people.
Yeah.
Because you're not judging deep down what you're insecure about in them. You really see what they are.
Yeah, it kind of frees you to really love and appreciate these amazing qualities in other people because you're not always sizing yourself up and trying to compare yourself to them. You can genuinely see, like, oh my gosh, I love this person. I love this about her. I see these qualities in her because, again, you've kind of accepted God's love and mercy and acceptance for you. And then that allows you, you know, the space to really do that for other people. And I think it's really important because otherwise I think your relationships do always struggle. And then then it's easy to blame the other person and say, well, it's because you're not doing this or you're not giving me validation or you're not telling me these things. When in reality, there's no amount of that will satisfy you until you agree with God about who you are.
Yeah, it's so true. And I think why I've been struggling with it more recently is just the culture we live in is so for like trying to blame someone else, like especially in a relationship. Like you're almost not, what is the word, like you're trying to find something wrong with someone else. You don't want to be manipulated, and you don't want to, like, it's so much like you don't want a man to, like, I don't know, I feel like our culture so hard is trying to like convince us that it's not your fault. But like a lot of the time I really do feel like I am the root of my own issues, which usually stem from my insecurity.
But the good news about that is when you own that, then you can change it.
Yes.
If you're always blaming other people, you can't change them. So it leaves you in this powerless position. Whereas when I take responsibility for everything I can, it doesn't mean that I'm the only one in the relationship. But when I take responsibility for my experience of the relationship, then that's such an empowering place to be, because I can change me.
Yeah, and it's not to say that, like, I mean, there are definitely things, like, in my personal relationship, for example, like, we both have things to work on. It's not to say that, like, he doesn't do things sometimes that aren't the perfect way to go about it.
Right.
And, like,
but that's his work to do.
That's his own
work.
Not
your work to, like, point out and say, well, you should.
It's not really fair when I'm always the one pointing out.
Yeah.
But it's just something that I've been, like, really trying to work through. And I just feel like people have to relate to it, because even just people in my own life, like, it is hard when, and we always talk about, like, oh, in this day and age, but it is just hard. It's not normal to see what everyone else is doing all the time.
Yeah.
And to see the best parts of everyone's life all the time.
Right.
It's not normal.
Yeah.
And I think it takes almost more work.
Yes, it does.
To be secure and to not compare.
And I think that's the essence of it, is really getting comfortable in your own skin, where you're just comfortable with who you are, with your flaws, with your failures, with your quirkiness. Like, I can remember times when I was like, man, I've got the craziest brain. Like, the way my brain works is so weird that I would try to hide parts of myself, or, you know, be down on parts of myself. And I do think there's always a place for improvement in the things that we can improve. But part of it is just like really accepting who you are, how God made you, how your brain works, your quirks, the things that make you who you are, and being really comfortable in your skin. And the thing that will happen when you're around people who are like that, it puts you at ease. You can tell they don't need anything from you. They're not trying to manipulate you or people please you or control you. Like, they are comfortable in their skin. And it's so much better to be around people like that. And I think this is a skill that's worth cultivating, because it's a way you serve your neighbor. It's a way that you show up without all your own, like, because when you're insecure, you've turned your attention back to yourself, you know? And you're thinking, what do they think of me? Wonder if they think I'm
it's like you're not really in. I loved what you said earlier, because you were talking about when, you know, it's the same thing. You take the attention off yourself. You can truly be curious about someone else and truly
celebrate
them.
Yeah.
But when you are feeling insecure and overthinking, which is something I struggle with a lot, like when you're having conversations with people, you are just being selfish. Like, you're just thinking about how they're looking at you and what they're thinking of you. It's like, and it's not always intentional,
right?
But you can intentionally try to combat that. And
and when I was going through feeling that way myself, because I wasn't used to feeling insecure, so when I was going through that, how I would approach it is I would say, oh my gosh, I don't normally struggle with this, but I'm really feeling so insecure. Like, I just voiced it.
Yeah, and that's the hardest thing to do.
It's hard to say that.
That is the biggest thing and I just keep bringing up me and Haddon because,
you guys are awesome.
When you're in a relationship, it just, like, heightens. Not all. I mean, it just, like, that person is seeing pretty much the
best and worst of you.
The best and worst.
Yeah.
So it just comes up.
And maybe nobody else would see any insecurity except him.
Yeah.
You know?
Sometimes I'm just stubborn and I want to believe that what I have like been fighting for is true.
Yeah.
And most of the time it is me just like letting down, and I have to process it, and sometimes it's not always the case, but a lot of the time it stems from like I was being insecure then.
Yeah.
And it just always makes me feel so much better to just say that, because guess what, like it's normal
I'm a human
to feel that way,
and we're gonna have that, right?
Yeah. And like me just blaming him, what did you say earlier? It was so good. Like you start to blame someone so much for this thing.
Oh, yeah. So, like, if your fear is, like, and I went through this, like, you're in a relationship and your fear is, like, you're insecure about your standing in the relationship, or you're feeling a little jealous or whatever, you come across in such a way that it feels like you're so needy to the other person. You need their constant validation that it like pushes people away. Mm-hmm. So then what happens is it becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy. Like you're insecure that maybe they're going to leave, or that your standing in the relationship isn't as good. And then you act in such a way as to drive people away, you know, because it's hard for people to be around somebody that is constantly needing that.
Yeah.
And so that's why I feel like one of the things that this was even before I knew coaching tools or had the tools, but I would just say to him, like, I'm so sorry. Like, I'm not feeling quite myself, and I'm feeling kind of insecure, and I just appreciate you being patient with me and helping me work through this. I know that it's not you, and that it's not anything that you can give me, that like, this is something that I have to work through, but I just appreciate you, you know, letting me talk it out. It really helps me to talk it out. Like I would just be so honest about what I was feeling, and it felt vulnerable and hard to do that.
It feels vulnerable. I mean, it doesn't always feel good, but after the fact, it's like, oh, that's what I needed to say. Like, that is what it was. And now I'm not trying to like cover it up by blaming him for something that now he's probably like, oh, like I've done all these things and she's focusing on this one little thing that I didn't even know that I did, and that's the one thing that she's focused on. Yeah,
and I remember Dad during this time would be like, it was like he didn't know now what to do. Like it made him so nervous that he would be like, he would try to validate,
but it never works.
Then it would feel awkward.
The wrong thing. Then he says the wrong thing because he doesn't know what to say. I mean, this literally just happened to me in Haddon, where I just was feeling a certain way, and then I didn't know how to explain it, because really it was just me being like insecure. And how do you really explain? Like,
that's hard to explain.
It's hard to explain.
Yeah.
And he doesn't understand my
deepest insecurities. Right.
And so then like he freezes up, and then I'm mad,
and then you're mad, you're like, see,
you see, you're not, yes. And that's exactly that's exactly what happened. And I had to take a moment and cry and be like, why?
What am I doing?
Like, I am literally, this was me sabotaging. And that's why I felt upset, because I was mad at myself for like getting to that point.
Yeah.
But then when I just admitted that, like, that was me, I
went a little crazy for a minute. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, then it's like, I don't know. It just opens up this conversation. Then we feel better.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah. It was weird too. Like, I think this is worth mentioning, because I know there are people who really struggle with jealousy, and I never did. And this was like, I don't know, a few months after I had Ellie. And so I'm sure my hormones were crazy. And I was convinced that Dad was like, that his eyes were looking over at someone at church. And then we would go to church, and poor thing, I'm sure he would be like, okay, don't look that way. Okay, wait, don't look that way. Don't look any way. And after I like got a couple of months behind me and my hormones settled down, I was like, oh, bless his heart. I'm so sorry that I was, you know, like, when I look back on it now, I can see it with such clarity. But I do think part of cultivating what we're talking about is just being willing to say where you actually are. Like, I'm really struggling with this right now.
Well, and I think it's easy to bring up a relationship, like a romantic relationship, but this is any relationship.
Happens in all relationships.
And I think why it's easy to bring this up, because it is, the root of it is not being secure, and it's not being confident in what you bring and what someone feels about you.
And I think at the root of it, I know we talk about this on a lot of episodes, but this is so true. It really is the difference between true self and false self, because when you're being your truest, most loving, highest version of you,
like you don't feel
that way, right?
Totally.
I mean, you're loved. You like, and so it's like getting into that false self where you're living in your ego. You're really thinking about comparing yourself, judging other people, the insecurities that you feel. And it's like that true self, false self. And I'm just always asking myself, like, what would my truest, highest, best self think? That version of me that's full of God's spirit and his love and his light. You know, like, what would she do? What would she think? What would she say? How would she show up to this interaction? She would give people the benefit of the doubt. She wouldn't be worried about herself. She would devote her time and energy to other people. And so that helps me get back really, to where I want to get to.
That is what we all should be working towards. And so I have found it really helpful, just to tie in another episode, like the journaling has so helped me be more aware of my thoughts and like how they are sabotaging me. Like if I'm always thinking, I never stay committed to something, I don't ever do the things I say I'm gonna do, I tell these people that I'm gonna do this diet or whatever it is, like you know, I say I'm gonna do it and then I stop 3 days in. Like thinking that all the time, you are insecure. Like you become that person, that version of yourself that you don't want to be, and you're always telling yourself, I never do that. But my highest version of myself commits.
Yeah. And I was telling Emme, like, if you're stuck in cycles of thinking that, your brain will find all the ways that you're not following through. But if you focus your brain on all the things that you do follow through with, what you find is you follow through with so many things.
Or like the thought is like, you know, my friends don't really like me all the time. Like I have those thoughts too, and like you will find, like you have to stop thinking that, because you will find evidence for that in your life.
And then it has you showing up in a way that you don't love. And I think that, you know, it's not just the thinking. I do think that as you renew your mind and decide what you want to think, maybe practice it in journaling, then those thoughts cultivate these feelings of, you feel more inspired, you feel more positive, you feel more loving and connected to other people. You trust yourself. Then you do take the actions. You do end up following through in more ways than maybe you had before. And those actions then reinforce the confidence that you have. Like, oh, I can trust myself. So it is a cycle that's worth practicing, because I think it shows up in your relationships. And I think you can ask people who struggle with this, that it colors everything, every relationship. I mean, I was looking at a study earlier that talked about all the ways that confidence affects you, even down to your health. And I think that is true. And it's something that's worth really working on and thinking about, doing some journaling on, and being honest with yourself, and not trying to pretend like you're confident, because that just becomes arrogance. Mm-hmm. It's not that. It's not pretending. It's being honest with the ways that you don't feel that way yet.
Yeah.
And that this is an area that you want to work on, and you realize it's your work to do. It's not the external validation that's ever going to give you that internal resilience.
Yeah. Confidence can be humble.
So humble. Yeah.
And
true confidence
is humble.
Yeah. Because true confidence gets you to the point where you can forget about yourself and now focus on the person in front of you.
And it makes sense why that can lead to success in your life, because that's how you hear success comes from, is like when you stop focusing so much on what it will do for you.
Yeah.
And where it will get you.
Yes.
It's like, I want to do this for others.
Yeah.
And that's where I think like true success or that feeling of success comes from.
Yes. and you want to give yourself a gift and the people in your life a gift, cultivate this. Like, really work on this. Look at the ways that you are right now struggling with insecurity. Be honest about it and be willing to say, like, oh, that's interesting. Wonder why.
And I just want everybody to know that I am working on this for myself too. Like, this is something that I'm very much in the middle of.
Yeah.
But I just would love to, like, be a year from now and just look back at this version of myself, which I honestly feel like I am pretty confident in a lot of ways, but I want to look back at this version and be like, wow, I've really worked on this. I've really worked on it. I've really put in the time.
And I think what will happen too, this is an area that I feel like I've grown in a lot since I've been online, because you have to have kind of thick skin, tender heart. Like, you have to be willing to hear the criticism of others when you put yourself out there. But what I have figured out is that it has just made me willing to go after goals, to, set crazy goals, to put challenges in front of myself, because I know that even if I fail at that thing, I won't make it mean something bad about myself. I won't be mean to myself. I'll be kind to myself in the failure. I'll be kind to myself in the rejection. And I think it has allowed me to really make my life bigger, to go after things that maybe I wouldn't have otherwise.
I agree. I think even doing this podcast, like, was a real test in growing my confidence and being secure and being kind to myself, because it is hard to, like, watch yourself, hear yourself, know that other people are going to hear what you say,
and maybe judge it
and not agree or whatever. But I think you're right. When you're putting yourself out there, but it's just a testament to do those things, because all of those, like, all that fear that I had surrounding it has, like, been way outweighed by the confidence it's already given me. Like, I already feel more confident. So good.
All right, you guys, we have a couple of fun things left. Emmy is going to ask me some questions.
I completely forgot about this. I was thinking the other day, I was like, what's something fun that we can just add to the end? Maybe we'll do this instead of our favorite things today, so it's not super long, drawn out. But when we were in New York, when me and Ellie specifically are talking to each other, you just, like,
I don't understand half of what they're saying, let's be honest.
And I don't even think some of these we use, but it made me think, like, I want to test Mom's, there's, like, a hair on this. I want to test Mom's Gen Z slang knowledge.
This is going to be so interesting.
So I have, what's Tom saying?
Okay, if I don't know, maybe Tom can tell the answer.
Yeah. So
does Mom know any Gen Z slang?
So I'm just going to go down a list, and we're going to see what Mom's definition would be of these words.
All right.
And don't overthink it. Just, give your definition. And we're going to see where Mom stands on the cultural words.
I could fail at this miserably. And I'm not even nervous.
I feel like you are going to know some. Okay. First up and easiest is cap.
What does cap mean? Cap means, like, no, right? Like, that's cap. That's not true? Does it mean not true?
Okay. Yeah. A lie.
A lie. Okay.
So, like, no cap would be, like, no cap.
So
no lie. No lie. Even some of these, I'm like, do I actually know what it means? I don't know. Okay. The next one is bet.
Is what?
Bet.
Bet?
Mm-hmm.
B-E-T?
Mm-hmm. Bet.
Bet. I have no idea.
You want me to say?
Sure.
Just give your best guess.
Bet. Say it how you would say it.
Okay, bet.
Okay, go. Okay, say it.
Mom, let me.
Okay.
It's more,
give me
it's
your
kind of
best
just like,
shot.
Okay.
Oh, it's like, okay.
What do you think it means, Tom?
I think it means, like, for sure do it.
For sure.
Oh, for sure. Okay.
Do it.
Like,
yeah.
I will most certainly do it 100%.
Oh, bet.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I'm learning.
Okay.
All right, got it.
The next one is T.
Give me the tea. Like, give me the, because Ellie says this all the time. Okay, let me give you the tea, the scoop.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, that's good.
Okay.
I didn't know that one.
The information, the gossip.
The information, the gossip.
Juicy. Yeah.
Okay, got it.
The next one is bussin'.
Bussin'? I am bussin'. I don't know. How would you say it?
What?
Use it in context.
That chili was bussin'.
The chili was cracking, was good, was something.
I mean, like, essentially, yeah, it's like really good or
Really
really
good.
enjoyable.
Okay.
I don't use this one, but this one is like, I think, does Tom, do your friends say that?
No, I didn't even know. I thought it meant like buff or like strong or something.
That's bussin'.
Okay. It's bussin'.
People say that on
Okay.
TikTok.
I've never heard that.
Never heard it.
Okay, next one, Riz.
I know what Riz means.
Riz.
Riz
Give me a sentence. Use it in context.
Okay, that guy has a lot of Riz.
I know what that means.
Chutzpah, pizzazz.
What was the first word that you just said? I've never heard that word. What did you say? Chutzpah? What?
Like pizzazz. Like
Chutzpah? That's not a word. Is that
Mom, I think
chutzpah? How do you spell that?
I don't know.
Mom, I
Did
think
you just make that up?
I did not.
Your
Have you ever
grandma's-
heard that?
Chutzpah?
I think your grammar's off.
Okay.
Sorry.
The nerve, the gall. You got the nerve, the chutzpah.
I know.
It's
what
a word.
Yeah,
I'm
I'll
a
tell
Scrabble
you.
queen.
I'll
Okay.
tell you what
Okay, but
That's
Riz-
not right.
Riz
Riz
means-
is short for charisma.
Yeah, same. Charisma.
I
Riz.
thought
Okay.
Riz meant like.
Oh, it's just shortened for charisma. All right, got it. I
But
feel
it's
like I've
like-
got a lot of Riz.
A suave, like, natural charm.
Okay. Got it.
Okay. Sus.
Easy.
You guys say this all the time. It's
That's
like
weird.
suspect, basically. Like
Suspicious.
suspicious.
Yeah.
That's suspect.
Okay, you're doing
You just say
good. You're doing pretty good.
sus.
Okay, what's a minty bee?
Oh, a
A
mental
minty
breakdown.
bee. Oh, didn't know that
Okay,
one.
that's a cheater because I told Tom that one earlier.
Oh, you did a minty bee. I'm having a minty bee.
Yeah. I actually used that one and I think that one's fun.
That one is
I'm
fun.
having a little bit of a minty bee.
That one doesn't make sense to me.
And the last one is slap.
It's like slap your mama.
What?
Okay, I
Like,
do. Me and Ellie
slap.
do say that. I always say that's so slap your mama.
That's so slap your mama.
But it's like it's
Good.
another
It's
good.
awesome.
It's good.
It's-
It's
yeah.
really good.
Okay.
Wow.
I mean, I didn't do that bad.
you didn't do bad. And honestly, like, don't judge this list. Some of these I don't even know if I use. I don't think I use a lot of them.
I think we
but-
should do a combined list of our favorite three because that didn't take long.
No, it didn't. Okay.
Three things we're loving. Let's do
Okay.
a combined list because one
Three
of them was
things
combined.
I'm loving. This hat is not one of them. Well, actually, I do love this hat, but it's making my head itchy.
Yeah.
I am obsessed with YouTube at the moment. I feel like I either am in a YouTube, I'm like only watching YouTube videos,
Yep.
or Netflix.
Okay.
But right now, currently YouTube.
YouTube. What
I
are you
feel like-
watching on YouTube?
I just like there's a lot of different
Like
things that I
lifestyle
like.
channels
Lifestyle
type thing?
channels. Yeah, I would say like some bloggers I really like.
Okay.
Um
I love YouTube
and
as
I've
well.
always just loved YouTube. Me and Kylena
Yeah.
talk about this all the time. We were YouTube girls like from when we were younger,
Yeah.
and it's just carried through.
Love it too.
But I feel like we are sharing one of our favorites, which is our UGG slippers.
Yes. Our UGG slippers. Emmy's got hers on. Mine are upstairs. I mean, I've been in my slipper era for a few years. I'm glad I could introduce you to it.
Yeah, I mean, I just have never like gotten, and I don't have like the classic ankle ones, but
Yeah.
we've been wanting
But
to
we
get
want
those.
those. I do want those.
Anyway, I don't literally I don't go a day without wearing them.
Yeah.
Every day.
They're amazing. Every day.
What's one of yours?
Valor soap.
Okay.
So I am loving a bar soap. How long has it been since you used a bar soap?
I hate them.
Oh my gosh, you have to try the Valor
Okay,
bar
but here's
soap.
my question.
Yeah.
I feel like every bar soap leaves like that, like
No. This Valor bar soap is amazing. I'll send you home with some.
Okay.
It's a Young Living product. You guys know I'm obsessed with Young Living. I love so many things of theirs. I've recently become literally obsessed with the Valor bar soap. It smells amazing. It has like, you know, when a soap just, it smells, it's faint. You almost have to get real close to it to smell it. Like, it's not too strong.
I'm going to be really upset.
The texture of it is so good. Like, I love it.
If it feels like, I don't love bar soap that it leaves your skin being like.
We're going to let Emme be the test, but no, it doesn't.
You know what I'm
leave
saying,
my skin
though?
being that way.
Do you know what, do you
I
understand?
do feel like I know what you're saying, but I haven't been using bar soaps. Like I have used some other Young Living bar soaps, and then I'll go back to like some kind of, you know, bath gel or whatever.
Okay.
But this Valor bar soap,
I'm going to try it.
Changing my life.
But I will say I'm not really a bar soap kind of gal.
Okay. The Ugg Slippers was one, the Valor bar soap, and then the Saratoga sparkling water. So we were in New York City. You guys,
oh my gosh.
I love Pellegrino. If you're watching on YouTube, I love Pellegrino. I drink it all the time. They served Saratoga sparkling water in New York City.
And I had never heard of
everywhere
it.
we went.
It's like a purple blue bottle.
Is to die for. I'm about to order some from Amazon. So
It's so
if you like sparkling
good.
water, give it a try.
It's so good.
So good.
Guys, I think.
Is that it?
Is that it?
Well, we've enjoyed this episode. I hope that we can have some more discussions with you about self-confidence on the Instagram. Come see us over there. Leave us a review, follow, share. We so appreciate you taking your time out to be with us today.
Every week, you guys.
Every week. You guys have been so good to us.
Seriously. Thank you so much. I felt so just at ease doing this podcast. I was so nervous at first, but everyone is just so kind.
Yep.
And I just appreciate it so much. And we love doing it. And yeah, we just love you guys so much.
Hope it brings some light to your day.
Yes.
You have a great week. We'll see you next time. Bye
Bye.
now.